Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're diving into glitches in the simulation, Philip K. Dick, and the code of reality. We're going to unpack Daniel Moreno's absolutely fascinating investigation into the life, the writing, and the honestly bizarre but verifiable experiences of sci-fi legend Philip K. Dick. It is absolutely wild to see how one man's supposed science fiction aligns so perfectly with modern neuroscience and quantum physics. So, have you ever walked into a room and just completely forgotten why you went in there in the first place? Or maybe you've thought about someone out of the blue, and then bam, they call you 30 seconds later. Or you get that really specific electric shock of déjà vu that just stops you cold. We've all been taught to just write these off, right? Just simple brain errors, a misfiring memory, or a glitch in our pattern recognition. But what if, and stay with me here, what if those moments aren't errors at all? We're exploring the terrifyingly real possibility that these are actually glimpses showing right through the surface code of reality. To wrap our heads around this, let's look at Philip K. Dick, writing evidence, not fiction. You probably know him as the sci-fi legend who wrote the stories that eventually became massive movies like Blade Runner, Total Recall, and Minority Report. Working out of a beat-up apartment in California, he basically mapped out our entire surveillance future in artificial reality. But here's the wild part that almost nobody talks about. Philip didn't actually think he was writing fiction. He secretly believed he was writing verifiable evidence. And the price of knowing this stuff? Well, it was steep. Whatever he figured out was apparently threatening enough to attract some very serious attention. I mean, the FBI literally opened a file on him, the CIA started intercepting his mail, and get this, someone even burglarized his house, totally ignored all his valuables, and only took his papers. You really have to ask yourself, what exactly did a sci-fi author stumble onto that had three-letter government agencies this spooked? Okay, let's look at the timeline of February 1974. This is the bizarre sequence of events that kicked it all off. For days, he was in rough shape, recovering from dental surgery. Then, within minutes, a delivery woman arrives at his door with his prescription. She's wearing an ichthys, that ancient Christian goldfish pendant. In a matter of seconds, as he looks at it, he's struck by what he called a physical beam of pink, coherent light that just poured information directly into his mind. And in an instant, he experiences dual consciousness. His identity just shattered. He was suddenly Philip in 1970s California, but at the exact same time, he was a man named Thomas living in 50 AD Rome, hiding in catacombs and speaking ancient Greek. Sounds completely unbelievable, right? Well, here is where it gets really interesting. Let's look at the inguinal hernia diagnosis. On the left side, you have trained medical doctors, and on the right side, Philip's dual consciousness. During this time, Dick's infant son, Christopher, got really sick. The trained medical doctors ran all their tests and came up completely empty. But that Thomas consciousness inside Dick, it suddenly knew with absolute 100% certainty what was wrong. He diagnosed a life-threatening inguinal hernia and demanded the doctors check for it. They totally brushed him off at first, but he wouldn't back down. And guess what? He was exactly right. The baby got emergency surgery just in the nick of time. For the researchers looking into his life, this is the undeniable proof. This is the pivotal moment that takes his experience completely out of the realm of just, hallucinations. Because, sure, you can easily dismiss altered states as drug-induced dreams, but you absolutely cannot dismiss actionable medical knowledge that saves a child's life, especially when trained physicians missed it. Plus, on top of that, scholars actually verified that Dick suddenly started perfectly speaking and writing first-century Koine Greek. He even recalled these incredibly obscure ancient Roman historical facts that researchers later had to dig deep into specialized academic literature just to verify. To make sense of all this, he spent the next 8 years writing an 8,000-page journal called the Exegesis. And out of that came the concept of orthogonal time. Orthogonal time is the concept that all moments exist simultaneously, past, present, future, and consciousness can access multiple frames at once. This completely redefines how we experience existence, because he concluded that time isn't sequential at all. He summarized it perfectly with this quote: "All moments exist simultaneously, past, present, future, all happening at once, like every frame of a film existing at the same time on the reel. It's kind of like a giant puzzle. Under the right conditions, human consciousness can access multiple frames of this reality at the exact same moment, which explains exactly how he could experience California in 1974 and Rome in 50 AD at the exact same time. This massive revelation led him to a concept he called the black iron prison. This is a state of consciousness where one is trapped in repeating emotional patterns, limiting beliefs, and autopilot behaviors. It is probably the most crucial part of his philosophy because it maps so directly onto our daily lives. The black iron prison isn't a physical building with actual bars. It's a mental state. It's the lived experience of being totally stuck in patterns you just can't seem to break, holding on to limiting beliefs, and living your entire life on a predictable, numb autopilot. He called the controlling force behind this the empire, the collective unconscious programming installed inside your mind. He wasn't talking about a specific government, but rather the sheer momentum of collective unconscious programming that keeps us all distracted, consuming, and easily controllable. And the really uncomfortable truth here? The bars of this cage are installed directly inside your own mind. Your trauma responses, your habitual thought loops, those are the bars. And the programming is so incredibly thorough that most of us just walk around assuming this is exactly how reality naturally works. Now, you might be wondering, does science actually back any of this up? Well, let's look at modern neuroscience. Check out this massive number, 400 billion. Right now, at this exact moment, your brain is literally being bombarded by about 400 billion bits of sensory information every single second. But it filters all of that massive data down to just 2,000 bits of conscious experience. Really think about what that means. You have never, not even once in your entire life, experienced objective reality. You only ever experience a deeply, deeply filtered rendering of reality inside your own skull, which is shaped entirely by your past experiences and your expectations. In a very real way, you are already inside a simulation, and it's running right there in your own head. This perfectly aligns with the work of cognitive scientist Donald Hoffman. His interface theory argues this quote, "Evolution didn't design our perceptual systems to show us truth, it designed them to show us fitness." Basically, the world you see is just like the desktop icons on your computer screen. The little blue icon for a folder isn't the actual microscopic binary code inside the computer, right? It's just a simplified, clickable representation designed so you can easily interact with it and survive. And if we zoom all the way down to the quantum level, it gets even crazier. Look at the double slit experiment, reality responds to consciousness. When scientists shoot individual electrons through two slits without observing them, they act like waves of pure potential. But the exact moment you set up a detector to observe them, they suddenly behave like physical, solid particles. The electron literally responds to being watched. And since everyday objects, the chair you're sitting on, the screen you're looking at, are made of these exact same quantum particles, it proves a fundamental rule. Reality responds to being observed. So here is the absolute game changer. You can reprogram the simulation by changing your internal state. If your observation is quite literally generating reality, then you can rewrite the code of your own experience. And I don't mean just passive, wishful thinking. I mean genuinely changing your internal emotional baseline, your beliefs, and your overall frequency. You are not just some passive victim of a fixed, rigid reality. You are an active creator in it. And Philip K. Dick didn't just stop at the theories. He discovered actionable ways to break out of that black iron prison. What's so incredible is that modern neuroscience and quantum theory fully support his methods today. So we're going to break down these 4 practices to reprogram reality. Number 1, the observer protocol. Number 2, glitch journaling. Number 3, state shifting. And number 4, future self-dialogue. Let's dive into these tools you can use right now. Practice 1 is the observer protocol, which asks the simple question, who is aware of this? Throughout your day, whenever you feel a really intense emotion or catch yourself in a looping thought, just hit pause and ask yourself, who is aware of this? Like, if you feel anxious, who exactly is aware of the anxiety? Don't try to answer it intellectually. Just let the question sit there and create space. The moment you ask it, you create this critical distance between the experience itself and your true awareness. You literally stop being the unconscious character running the script, and you step back into the role of the player holding the controller. The second practice is glitch journaling. Track your déjà vu and synchronicities. Get a physical notebook or just open a note on your phone and start tracking every single anomaly, every specific déjà vu, every perfectly timed synchronicity. By doing this, you're actually training your brain's reticular activating system to actively look for anomalies. If you commit to this for just 30 days, I promise you will begin to see undeniable patterns. The simulation is going to give you feedback, proving to you for sure that reality is way more fluid and responsive than we were ever taught. Third is the state shifting protocol. As researchers like Joe Dispenza point out, when you change your emotional state, you physically change your brain waves and your electromagnetic signature. That literally tunes you into different quantum probabilities. Here's how you do it. Identify a desired internal feeling, like abundance or peace. Then take some deep breaths to exit that stressed out fight or flight mode. Next, recall a genuine moment in your past where you felt that exact emotion. Finally, amplify that feeling and just hold it for 5 minutes. By doing this, you are fundamentally becoming a different version of yourself. You are rewriting the code from the inside out. Practice 4 is the future self dialogue. Entangle with a future probability wave. Instead of constantly projecting your past limitations into your future, try sitting quietly and imagining the energy of your future self, say 5 years from now. Feel their confidence, feel their stillness. Then ask them what you need to know right now and just listen. You are quite literally entangling with a future probability wave in the quantum field. And because your brain honestly doesn't know the difference between a vividly imagined experience and a physical one, you are installing brand new neural patterns right on the spot. Right before his pretty suspicious death in 1982, which, by the way, happened just as the FBI pressure and the burglaries were really mounting, Philip K. Dick reached his final conclusion. He called it amnesis, the shattering of the veil. He realized that this simulation, this black iron prison we talked about, isn't actually a prison at all. It's a consciousness development simulator. It's constantly pushing us toward this amnesis, the great awakening, the shattering of the veil, and the total end of the illusion that we are all separate selves. He realized that the system isn't out to punish you. He said every obstacle is the system trying to upgrade you. Suffering happens to the character, but you are not the character. Think about that. Every hardship, every roadblock, is just the code asking you a fundamental question. It's pushing you to finally realize that you are the vast, orthogonal awareness animating the character on the screen. You are not just the limited character. So I'm going to leave you with this final thought, and it's something you have to test through your own direct experience, not just blind belief. Are you the suffering character or the awareness observing it? Look at your life today and really ask yourself, are you merely the unconscious character running those same old scripts in the black iron prison? Or are you the vast, underlying awareness observing the whole thing, the player who finally knows they're playing the game? Apply these protocols, keep an eye out for those glitches, and see for yourself just how responsive this reality truly is.